All right, it's been a busy week, so we will talk about what was in the news yesterday. But first, let me run through a few things which I call RDM 101. You might have heard this. I put a plus because I added a few things probably since last time, so you get the opportunity to be plus today. The airport layout plan is basically, the reason I show this is after this terminal expansion, which I'll show you today, we're planning on extending the runway towards the fairgrounds where we're at now, about 3,000 feet. That'll give us the opportunity to fly our mainline aircraft anywhere they can fly. Currently, we can't really get past Chicago with the length of our runway. Also, it identifies a third runway. So that's probably 40, 50 years down the road, but if you've seen other big airports, they have to move at some point if they allow encroachment onto the future land development. The administration, so the city owns the airport. The only unique thing is, and if you've heard me say this, is the FAA also kind of owns us. We take money from the federal government. They have a say in what we do, just like the city does. I go to city council. I also go to the FAA. They both kind of have to agree. It's like having divorced parents. Sometimes they don't agree. And as an older child, I have to make sure they're both at the wedding, kind of thing, right? So about 50 or so people work directly for me. Overall at the airport, in the terminal, there's about 400 people that work there. And then across all airport property, there's about 1,000. So what we don't have, and this is so if you need to complain, what we're not in charge of, or what I'm not in charge of, is basically the airlines, car rentals. You go up to Delta, you have a problem with their front desk person. That is not the airport, that is an airline individual. Please call Delta instead of the airport. So, but we operate with them in kind of the same sense as a mall operates. So they're leasing basically parts of the terminal. They lease, in the future here, jet bridges. They lease ramp space. They pay us for fuel. So all of this is kind of built into operating agreements, leases, or contracts. So again, I kind of look at it as a mall, right? And we charge them for the upkeep of the runways, taxiways, common space, just like a mall charges all their leaseholders with the bathrooms, for example. Same concept. This year, we'll bring in about $26 million. This is actually almost up to 27. We'll see what the effect of the announcement yesterday was, but 80% of all of our revenue comes from commercial traffic. The other 20% from a myriad of a lot of things. I know parking's high. We have a plan in 2030 to build a long kind of lease, or a long-term parking option with shuttles to alleviate that, but for now, that money is really what's helping pay for this terminal. Every time you get on an aircraft on the left, the airline pays us $7.09 when you accumulate all of the fees we charge them. If you take a mainline 150-seat aircraft on the right, that's how much revenue the airport brings in for every aircraft that takes off from the airport. So every time if we hear an aircraft take off, it's like cha-ching in my mind, right? But what that comes into play is when there's snow, can't do much about fog or really heavy smoke for visibility, but especially when it comes into inclement weather in the winter, we do a lot to make sure that runway is open because we do 30 to 40 daily flights out, $2,500 a pop. That's where our revenue comes from. Operating expenses, I won't go into this too much, but it costs a lot to run an airport. Although you'll see the difference in revenue versus expense. That's what's paying for this new terminal, which I'll talk about. Now you're not going to work? We have a lot of land. Most people don't realize that a fourth of all of the cities of Redmond's UGB is airport managed property. City owned, airport managed, which again, the FAA gets a piece of. Not money-wise, but they get to say in it. So if you ever come to develop a piece of property and you look on Dial and it says City of Redmond, most of the time that's the airport, and the city will push you to my group that will do leasing and those kind of things directly with the airport. Because what the FAA requires is that no money made from the airport or its properties can go anywhere except for the airport use. So we can take money from the airport or from the city cannot take money from the airport. So if you are flying, you are paying for the airport. If you do not fly, you do not pay for the airport. So it's one of those federal things where you're paying with each ticket, PFC, every time you have a beer, every time you park. No local taxpayer money goes to the airport. It has not since 1946, when we first became So we run as kind of a business in a sense. Also, all of our property has a lot of other businesses. If you do business at the airport as a private company, you are paying us in some way, shape, or form. Taxi picks up, we charge them. Pump a gallon of fuel, we charge you. Every time you land a plane, we charge you. All of this kind of comes together to create our revenue stream and make us self-sufficient. Air service update. We'll talk about what happened. But let's start with, on the left, national airlines, basically. On the right, international. Unfortunately, we can take away the right. We can also remove Avelo. As of Monday, they pulled out of the market starting some in August, but Burbank is their most popular in Vegas, will be pulled in December 1st. Just found out about 2 hours before they put the press release out, so they did not let us know. It's about 8% of our market, or what we call seats in the market. That's a financial hit, right? Thankfully, we have such a strong market into Burbank and Vegas. They did not pull out because we were doing poorly. They pulled out of the whole West Coast. Eugene, Salem, Medford, Pasco, Missoula. So they pulled all their planes out of the West. A few hours later, I got a phone call from another airlines saying, hey, guess what? We want to go in there and take Burbank and Vegas. So there is an announcement tomorrow. It will not be until March, so I've got about a 3 or 4 month period without that service, but this is about as fast as the airlines has ever moved. Usually this process takes years.
Do you have leverage?
Not leverage per se. I was actually a little shocked that they were coming in. I like aircraft flying, right, because of the revenue. So I'm like, come on in. We really don't incentivize. This is not a DOT grant. This is not revenue guarantee. This is them coming in because our market is so strong. And Avelo proved it with Burbank and Vegas. I can't say who's coming in, but it's going to feel like a light wind. Also, we always kind of target other airlines as we move forward. Redmond has had a lot of growth, as you felt if you've been out to the airport lately. This compares us, we're the red compared to the Northwest, which was the fastest growing region the last few years, so we're way above the US average of growth. We overtook Medford a few years ago. Now we are the 3rd largest commercial airport behind Eugene and Portland. But Eugene only jumped ahead of us a lot when they brought it in Southwest. We're pushing for Southwest. If they expand into Denver as their next market, we are at the top of the list. Probably not till 2027, but again, I said that's pretty quick still for airport airline. What?
Why are we growing?
Lots of reasons, but well, it's not even, so we run about 60% local traffic, 40% tourism or families that are coming, so I can tell based on your phone's data, your zip code, where you're from or where you actually live most of the time. But 60% is here. So this region is growing population, everything, right? Affluency, whatever you want to call it, it's grown, so that's grown. But also tourism has grown too since COVID with our outdoor. So all that comes together. We grow as a byproduct of the region growing. Yeah, decades of growth. We've grown about 165% in the last 10 years. I've been here 10 years, and I like to say that correlates, but it really doesn't. But again, a lot of growth. Really, the only downtime was COVID, and it was pretty short compared to most airports. Portland's still not back pre-COVID numbers.
So what you're saying, you have job security?
Well, I don't know.
No?
I don't know what the average for an airport director is, but I don't think it's too, well. I hope. Let's say I hope. Again, here's some stuff. The middle one is mainline, which I'll talk about, which is the big growth we've seen, which are seats in market, mostly because of larger aircraft. And here it gives you an example. In the gray are those old Q400 rotor aircraft, right? Everybody remember those? They're gone, right? We lost those. The last one flew in 2022. And in the red, you see mainline, which are 150 seats or more. The Airbus 320s, 319s, you got the Boeing, the 737s. You've seen that grow pretty exponentially. And this summer, we're actually almost at 60% mainline, larger aircraft. So you take a 76 regional and you jump that up to 160 seat, that puts, again, right, 80 more seats in the market just from one aircraft. We're seeing that happen is because during COVID, all the pilots left. And guess what? The 76-seater requires 2 pilots, and so does the 180-seater. So what makes more sense? So what you saw was markets that could accommodate the bigger aircraft did very well. The markets that couldn't really make that jump to those bigger aircraft and more seats and fill them, they did really poorly as a part of COVID. Thankfully, we are on the latter part there. This summer is the busiest summer we've ever had. We added 60,000 seats in the market through April until December. Velo changes that a little bit, but again, we're seeing upgauging in aircraft, additional frequencies to our airports. Just met with the airlines in Indianapolis a few weeks ago. Everything looks good. Dallas is a seasonal daily mainline by American Airlines. If you need to go east, go Dallas. It's a direct flight every day during the summer. That's our only one that pre-bookings looked a little soft on, so we put some marketing into the system here, and hopefully that'll come back. Here's where we fly. Well, you can kind of ignore, we're going to lose Palm Springs probably for quite a while, and Santa Rosa, which was already kind of struggling. Recruitment, I won't go into all this because we don't have too much time, but it takes a lot to get airlines here, and a lot of times it's not even up to us. But if you ever, I've got a whole slide deck on just air service, but we can do that at a different time. Our goals. I want to expand east as much as possible. There's something in my mind when I travel, which is quite a bit, to have to go to Seattle or San Francisco to go to east. Oh, I hate that. But we're trying to get more east. Denver's doing very well. Salt Lake's doing very well. Vegas we're going to keep with the addition of Breeze. And then the next push would be, we got Dallas, so that was a win. Next push would be Minneapolis and Chicago. Once we get to that point, we can't get any farther on mainline with our runway length. Also, we've met with Southwest. I've mentioned this. Hopefully they'll be our next, after Breeze, our next new airline in the market. So let's talk about the terminal expansion. And I got a video to show you that just came out. So first, let me explain what's happening. If you've not had an airport visit, be happy to give you one. Or not a visit, airport tour, be happy to give you one. But we have a basement. That's where all your bags go when they get checked. They go downstairs. TSA, there's a big room where they check them all for explosives, etc. As part of this project, we are building currently a tunnel from downstairs out to ramp spot 5 because this is where it comes usually from downstairs back upstairs to our outbound baggage carousel. We are building all this. So there's no connection for the tugs or the carts to bring the bags. So this ramp will come out here. We'll put in a new baggage carousel out on ramp 5 for the next 2 years for baggage, modifying the current hold room where you wait for your aircraft, and then a bunch of other stuff over here, electrical, loading docks, etc. But the biggest piece of this terminal expansion is going to be the 3rd floor, 50,000 square foot concourse. 7 jet bridges, retail concessions, restrooms, everything that comes with that. And what I will do, and I hope this isn't, I tried to do something new. Let me see if I can get this without it. Hopefully it's not too choppy for you. This is all new. So that is the outline of the Cascade Mountains on the outside there. In the terrazzo floor, that is the Deschutes River. There's a disclaimer, this is not what concessions will look like. Talk to that in a little bit. It's not one big.
So sexy, that song.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Big, right? Yeah, we're going. So that is a quick walkthrough rendering. There's a bunch of other stuff you didn't see. One thing that there was a disclaimer on was retail concessions. That is going to go out to an RFP bid in the next few months to see what that looks like, but we will probably have the opportunity or there will be probably 2 to 3 new food concessions and more retail travel essentials also involved. We'll see what that looks like. So next time I come here in a year, that'll look a little different, and I'll show you what it will look like. Second thing is we got $1 million worth of art that is not shown. We've got a regional art group that is coming up with an RFP to put out for artists for art that'll go into this building. That's also not rendered here. So those are 2 pieces. All right, so I'm almost done here, and I'll answer some. That is not what I. There we go. It started, guys. We're broke ground. We're digging that tunnel right now, and if you are there midday, it is busy. So it's almost busier now midday than in the morning. Still give yourself plenty of time early morning. That 11 to 1 o'clock, there's lines out the door almost for TSA in the last few days. Also, we're going to be losing about 1/4 of our hold room that's currently there, where you wait for your aircraft. 1/4 of that is going to be walled off for the next 2 years. So you're going to get tight. Hey, guess what? There's an upstairs, so go upstairs, guys. There's room upstairs. But we're going to be tight in there when we're trying to put 3 or 4 aircraft, 600-700 people in that one room. So work with us there. There's also, we've changed how you get out to your aircraft. You're going through Connex boxes between spot 5 and all the way to 11. So if you've already seen that, hopefully it's working. We're keeping our eye on it. That'll also be a change for the next 2 years. It's really hard to build an airport on top of an airport. So it's been fun. I used to not have white hair or gray hair. Could be the 3 kids too. But, and then last but not least, one of the largest projects ever, single project done in Central Oregon, $180 million. We are fully funded. We just sold bonds last week. When I say bonds, they're not GO bonds. Again, no local tax dollars are going into this. We've saved up a bunch of money over the last 6 or 7 years in preparation, leaning on the feds for some money and the state. And that's what we're coming to this party with, $180 million. Yes?
Do you, they always talk about if Cascadia happens, they'll have, do you get the funding, extra funding to build that project?
They call them, what do they call them? Unfunded mandatory guidelines. And really what they say is that we're supposed to try to harden the airport. But truthfully, everything we do, when we extended the ramp, when we put the new operations building in, when we extended parking, when we do the terminal, all of that is helpful when Cascadia hits. So we're not doing anything really specific. We also put in another 120,000 gallons of jet fuel, a new farm. All of that helps with Cascadia, but we're also doing it because we need it. That's who's funding it, is our needs. Byproduct, it helps with Cascadia. Yes?
Do you see us going international?
Not anytime soon. I'd like to try to get up to Vancouver. It would probably be my first stop. Again, it's tough. It's a chicken and the egg thing because you actually just show you need it. Airline has to say we'll do it, and then you actually have to go through the process to get, where you come through after you come out of the country. I forget. Customs. It's a pain. Yeah. Yeah.
The bombers that you have going on.
Yeah.
You're going to lengthen the runway as well. Okay.
We probably, if that starts, it'll be 10 years from now. Okay. So no, again, I say short-term airport kind of timelines.
Never mind.
What else we got? Anything before I jump off here?
You were going to Chicago for a long time, direct, nonstop.
We did a seasonal to Chicago. It was the Red Eye. It was one season. Red Eye, successful.
Yeah.
COVID. And then that was a regional jet, which was at the end of that regional jet's capacity. Two pilots, 76 people. Didn't make sense after COVID. And until we can get a main line to do it, the problem is they want to get Salt Lake up to 3 to 4 daily before they jump it with a Chicago direct, because those are connected. So there's a whole world of how this kind of interacts with each other. But eventually Chicago or Minneapolis would be our next push.
All right.
Okay. You're welcome, guys.
All right.
Get a little picture.
Yeah, picturing.
Yeah, so you can...
Right under that.
Do you want, well, hold on, don't do that. Well,
Don't do that. It's just anything out there.
I don't know how to get back to it. Do this one. Oh, hold on. I'll get it there. Oh, come on.
There.
There we go.
Hey. Got a little pen
Thank
for
you.
Gift.
Appreciate it.
All right. All right. Thanks.
Thank
Zach.
you.
Appreciate it.
I feel like I'm getting an award in the military again. Shake.
They're homemade pens. They're really
They're
good.
awesome. Yeah, I use them all the time.